Tribe, I hope you're all well. I know it's been a little while since I've done one of these updates. I've been all over the place travelling and I let the discipline slip. I'm sorry, here I am, and I'm going to make sure I don't let it slip again, because actually I hear from quite a few of you how important these are to you, that it keeps you in the loop of what's going on here at TR. The first bit of news isn't great news. So Phil Maynard, that's the Region 9 administrator, he's having to step down as the RA for Region 9. He's actually a full-time hero in the fire brigade, and that has to take priority, especially when they're under such pressure and cuts. So he's still a great shirt, and he's still one of our, old and bold and our most valued, but he's going to be stepping down as the RA, and Mark Lindsay's going to be stepping up in the interim. We've got a lot of work to do in figuring out what the regional laydown is, but for now, Mark Lindsay, also another legend, is going to be stepping up to take that on. But from me, the team here at Chilmarket and everyone else, Phil. So what else is happening in the organisation? So we've got a team out in Nepal right now. We've got Paul, Griff, Neil and Keith out there delivering training to the Gurkha Welfare Trust. Now, the Gurkha Welfare Trust, some of you know, some of you don't, is set up to support the Gurkha veterans with their pensions, but they live out in the mountains, and actually they play a massive part in disaster response. So the team's out there at the minute helping them prepare for, they're doing capacity building work, training for preparedness and response to disasters. They're doing great work. We get some lovely feedback from the GWT. And this is a really important partnership for us going forward, because Nepal is hard to get access to. It's very difficult to operate there. So we need a solid partner in country. So these ops are really important to make sure we're building and keeping those access. So to the guys out there, thanks for your effort out there, but also, you've all been on a lot of ops over the last few months. You've given a lot of time to Team Rubicon, and we really, really appreciate it. Keith, you've basically moved to Indonesia, and now you're out there. Griff, you were there over Christmas. Neil, you were there. Then you were in the BVI, and Paul, you're always on these ops. So thank you for your continued support. Congo, last week, some of you have seen from social media that Nick Spicer and I were out in the Congo on a recce. This was very much a viability recce. There's a lot going on in the Congo. It's a difficult space. There's a Ebola disaster. There is rebel violence. It's incredibly undeveloped. There's a lot of corruption. So this was us going out to see, is this viable for us? Is there a need that we need to be addressing? And the answer is yes. And there's a lot of NGOs out there working in and around Goma, but there's a lot of communities that aren't getting the support they need. 90% unemployment, there's almost zero electrification through the country, and I've never seen suffering quite like it on just such a massive scale. In Afghanistan we saw lots more violence, really sharp pinch points of violence. This is like a chronic suffering where people have to try and create food each day. There's children abandoned on the streets. There just seems to be no hope or love in the community. It's just drained out of them because they're acutely aware of their own suffering. There's a lot of work for us to do out there. We need to do another recce. It's not as simple as just saying go. So we're looking to get out there again in March and recce a site where we could put solar power down into an isolated remote village. Taking our capability set, which is you and renewable energy, to bear for the good of people. And that would be in preparedness for Ebola, because if we can provide them with some community refrigeration for vaccines, we can try and help prevent the spread of Ebola in that community anyway. And then we're also going to recce a hospital site in Libero to see if we can electrify the hospital, which at the moment is completely in the darkness. They're going to get the power to it. We would look to wire through. Again, remote community work, preparedness and resilience in response. Now that is a step change for us in the places where we're going to operate, but this is where we need to be going. We need to be getting aid and help where it's hard to reach, because that's what you're all built for, and that's what we're building this organisation for. Lots more to follow on Congo as we go. That is just the viability check to start with. Last week I got back from Congo and I came straight in to see the OLC on Friday, and it is the best bit of training I've seen come out of TR. And like Caroline, I've got to thank you for running such a wonderful show. Tim Breer and Dudley, great instructors, fantastic delivery, and also Nick and Sam here at HQ, who just melted themselves in recreating that content and this wonderful interactive scenario play that I've heard nothing but incredible feedback from. It was just brilliant. Thank you, all of you, for that delivery. Which leads me on to one of the questions that came out a month ago or so about actually what numbers are we at in the organisation at the minute. So our total number of volunteers fluctuates because of GDPR and people opting in and out. Because once you've clicked on, we sort of consider you in the tribe there, or in the volunteer base. But actually, the reality is, it's once you come and you start doing stuff that we count you. So there's 382 grey shirts right now trained to domestic operator. There's a further 64 that are trained to international operator, and there's 64 again responders. So that's the total pool at the minute. We've got some DBS backlog in that, but we're catching up on that. So we're looking at 382, 64 and 64 respectively across the branches. And that's actually a pretty good place right now. We need to grow a bit more to deliver consistently, but not massive more. So we're still spending a lot of time focusing on giving you all the training and opportunities you want that are already in here before we go out on big recruitments. We don't need to grow that quickly. What we need to do is really professionalise our capability and invest in all of you that have invested your time in us. Next week, there's another Tribecast coming out. I'm going to be doing it with David Wiseman. Some of you know him, some of you don't. He was one of the founding fathers of Team Rubicon UK, former army officer. He got shot in Afghanistan, now works for the Royal Foundation with the Princes, and he's been here since the beginning. So he's very much the volunteer, the grey shirt that sits on the trustee board. And he and I are going to just have a chat around where TR's been, where it's going, get his views, and what we're up to. So that's just going to get recorded next Thursday, and it'll be out very quickly after that. And those Tribecasts, we want to start getting them quicker. Ideally, I'd really like to get one a month, all for public, but also for you lot. And I really want to get some of you as guests on it too very soon. Look out for your Friday emails. I know most of you don't open them. Actually, could you start opening them over the next couple of weeks? Because we're going to do some grey shirt awards. I really want to start recognising, apart from just these videos, just how incredible you all are, and some of the unbelievable amounts of effort and achievement that comes out of the grey shirt base. So there's going to be there's going to be a grey shirt voting page launched, and it's going to be across 4 categories. There's going to be the Operational Impact Award, and that's going to be for outstanding commitment and delivery. There's going to be the Commitment and Service award, which is going to be for continued support, the real grafters that are always digging in for TR, not always in the limelight, that doing the work that really matters. There's going to be the Outstanding Achievement Award, that sort of speaks for itself, and then the one that is going to be completely voted for by the grey shirts is the Grey Shirt Always Award. So for the first 3, we've made some nominations into the categories that you'll all vote on. But for the last one, the Grey Shirt Always, we're not making any nominations. That is for all of you to put down who you think it is and vote against. And the person with the most votes will get it. I'm really excited about it. And then we're going to work out how we present them to the winners, whether it's all together or individually. But, we really want you to know just how much we appreciate you. And we want to... This is the start of that, and we'll build on it more and more and more, because I always feel that we get a tremendous amount from you, and I know that you love this organisation too. But I always just want to show you how much we appreciate and how this place just doesn't work without you. So this is the first stage of us saying thank you very much. Another thing on watching out for emails and bits is, we've been talking to Nick Parker for a little while now about, so we've got Wisey. He's been around since the beginning, and he's like the volunteer on the board. But we'd like to get another, one of the grey shirts up onto the board of trustees. So we're going to send an email out and a dit out for any of you, and that is, it can be any of you that are interested in applying to become a trustee of Team Rubicon UK. It doesn't change your status as a grey shirt, because if it did, I wouldn't let it, because we absolutely need you where you're at. But it would give you the opportunity to come up into the governance of the organisation. So you'd become my boss and give me a hard time at board meetings, but you'd really be involved in the strategic direction of the organisation. which I think is an incredibly exciting opportunity. And we're going to open it up to the floor for anyone can apply. There'll then be, like any application, there'll be a sift, and then there'll be a shortlist, and then there'll be some interviews with Nick Parker, another trustee, and maybe one or two from the executive. So I think that's a massive opportunity, and I really think what it means for us as an organisation, just showing how much we value you as the base. We want to keep your representation on the board and keeping this board linked to the delivery of what we're doing. The charity I was at before, we didn't have to mention any names. The board was so dislocated from what the charity did and from the beneficiaries. And, I'm just so happy to see Nick Parker wanting to keep the two parts of the organisation so tight. So the whole trustee board is coming on another induction weekend at the end of April. And we spend the whole weekend in induction with the new volunteers, with old volunteers, just keeping the thing tight. And it's so important. Talking to Congo again last week, Kate Holt, one of our trustees, journalist of The Guardian, she was out there with us on the recce, showing us around, taking pictures. It doesn't get much more involved than that. So, hugely exciting opportunity for one of you, because there's only one at the moment. But also, I think just organisationally, it's really great message out to you and out to anyone that our board is so tight with what we're projecting into these disaster zones, which is the grey shirt. And then some team updates here in Chilmark. So Kev, who was the support operations manager, and he was sort of running the training cycle, he left a couple of weeks ago, and we're just looking at how we replace that at the minute, and looking at how the ops team is structured, because like anything, what we needed right then isn't what we might need right now. This place is changing all the time and growing very quickly. So we're doing a little bit of testing and adjusting as to what that structure is going to look like, and then we're going to advertise for that role. Don't know what that role is going to be yet. It's not going to be exactly what Kev's was, but I'm going to do an internal hiring process on that. So I'm only going to put it out initially to the team here in Chilmark. No one's going to apply for that, they're already here, and the grey shirt base, including the intern. So to start with, I really want to just do the hiring process internally, for a variety of reasons. A, you lot know the organisation the best, so we're probably going to find good candidates in here. But I just think it's wonderful when I see people coming through the grey shirt base and then into the full-time team and then driving the place forward, because you bring with you the culture and the passion and the love because you've been a volunteer, and then you put it into your professional sphere and you're driving hard. And the success we've had with Paul Taylor, he's the most unique human I can think of. He's worked so hard. He brought so much TR culture into the full-time team, and so we're looking to replicate that again. And there may well be other things coming up over the next few months. And again, it will all be put into the grey shirt base. So please watch the channels. Watch the Friday email. Watch Slack where you can. I know Slack can be a bit confusing. There's so many different channels in there. Watch the general channel at least, and of course the Facebook thing will be a good receptacle for information. We try and get out across all of the mediums and these videos. So, right, that's a quick download on what's been happening, and I will hold myself to keeping the discipline of talking to you all more often, because it's massively important. Thank you, as always, Tribe, for everything you're doing, for everything you did last year, and for the commitment to what's coming this year. I'll speak to you all soon.